Hi everyone, I'm Chantel,
And I'm Jessie.
and this is Glowing in Tech. So today we are joined again by Yemurai, who has a very squiggly career from chemistry to cybersecurity. She's also won an award by We Are Tech Women, and she's honestly amazing. She's an amazing platform. So let's dive into this episode. I think it would be great if we could, reflect a little bit on current times.
Gosh.
And let's talk about the state of the tech market today, because it's very different to 2020. It's very different to 2021.
Yes.
In your own words, how would you summarize what the tech landscape looks like today?
I think from an entry-level perspective, it is incredibly challenging. I guess there's increased competition for the entry-level roles, and also potentially the layoffs as well is impacting that. They're not as many as there were back in just after COVID times. With that being said, I think from a senior level and mid-entry level, there's a lot of opportunity once you're already working with the industry, I found anyway. Personally, for me, who works in cyber, I can only speak on that behalf. So as someone who's already in the industry, it's been quite good for me. But I know from an entry-level perspective,
I feel the same. I feel the same because and I'm going to speak from the blockchain perspective. A lot of people want to get into blockchain technology. We had the bull run that ended in 2022, and it was fun, and everyone was like, "Whoa, what is this?" And at that time, I think if you were entry level, it was very easy to get in. I was entry level in blockchain. I was entry level, so it was so much easier. But now my friends and connections that want to get into the Web3 space are finding it so much harder. But for those of us that are in the Web3 space, we are being targeted by other companies, because I think, especially because the money has kind of run dry a little bit, companies are trying to hire at a more senior level because they need that competency. So yeah, I think it's even the same outside of cybersecurity.
Yeah.
What would you say?
No, similar feeling. And I think it's really tricky because I feel like there were a lot of people that may have made the decision to retrain and get into tech at a time where there was sponsorship money flying around left, right and centre. There were loads more boot camps and loads more places, and people were more willing to put in that time investment to get somebody from zero to competent. But that being said, I don't think it's impossible. And you've both mentioned, mid-level and senior, I still think there's very much that demand and that need. And I don't think it's impossible for junior and entry level. I just think those opportunities are fewer and far between. And we're definitely, like we mentioned in the last episode, that whole I got a 6-figure salary in 6 months. We're seeing a lot less of that. But that's not necessarily a sign that it's impossible. And that's something that I think is really important for people to realise. And with your journey, how long did it take you? A year and a half.
Yeah.
And that was during that era.
During that boom,
So even then, I think during that boom, some of the standards that we held about employability and in the employment market weren't necessarily true. There were bubbles and pockets, and Web3 is an example of hyper acceleration and hyper growth. Yeah, but I don't think that means that it was easy for everyone all the time in all situations. So yeah, I would really want to know, because you post a lot about entry-level roles, apprenticeships, and I mean, the fact that you're still sharing those means that they're still there.
So I just want to add on to the entry-level market thing. I think you now have to go beyond just doing a CV.
Yeah.
And actually networking is one of the most important things, I think, about getting in the industry. Because like I said, people will comment on LinkedIn, post on LinkedIn, I've got this entry-level role, DM me if you want to know more information. And a part of the reason why I was able to secure my first role was because I went to a recruitment networking event. So I think if you're looking to break into the industry, you have to be on job and consistent, not go to one, but constantly throughout the year, go to industry events, go to networking events, develop relationships with, add people on LinkedIn within the fields that you want to get into. I think that's sort of the strategy you have to complement alongside applying for jobs. Because maybe previously you could get away with applying for jobs just casually. But I think networking, you have to add that into there, as well as attending industry conferences and events, updating your LinkedIn profile and stuff like that. So that's a must do for people who are entering the space?
I was gonna I just had like a little brain
Yeah.
thought, I was like, one thing I realized about like mid and senior level like talent, they work with recruiters a
Yeah,
lot more.
exactly.
And I don't know if
Yeah.
junior or entry level people know that you can do that.
Yeah.
You can actually work with recruiters and they can kind of like push you towards specific positions that are tailored like towards your skill set as well. And I think maybe that's something that we should like add into our like top tips for like job hunting and things.
Yeah, it's so interesting that you went to a recruiter's event where you can establish that relationship. How did you get that insight that early on?
I love networking anyway, so it's just natural to me. And now, especially because of AI, organizations are doing a lot more in-person recruitment events. So AI, as much as everyone's like use it to write your CV, I think organizations are catching on to just how people are misusing it or like overusing it, basically. So now more than ever are in-person events going to be useful for when you apply for jobs. So whether it's a company that's hosting an event or an industry event, etc., having that, if someone's like, oh yeah, I met them at this event or I met them at that event, they're more likely going to favour your application. Especially now with AI, I think the recruitment landscape is changing because it's so easy to write the perfect CV. You can now obviously use manuscripts. AI can tell you how to say your answers and stuff. So I think now more than ever is it important to do in-person events. With regards to industry recruitment events, I don't know, I follow a lot of industry events, industry organizations, let's say the IET, cybersecurity job sites, and they tend to have industry events, and that's how I come into light with recruitment events. So recently, cybersecurity job site had like a careers event, for example. So it's just understanding who are the key players within the industry you want to get into. Are you following their pages and people who work for them? And that's sort of how you get insight. Are you part of any community groups, community tech groups? Are you part of like Black Tech Fest, coding, Black females and all of that? And that's how you get exposed to all of these recruitment events and opportunities.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I love that you said that you love networking.
Yeah.
And that's something that like comes across really well when I've seen you at events. But for someone who's an introvert, who's a bit more shy, who's like, oh, I don't know if I can do it. I don't know if I can introduce myself to people I don't know.
Yeah.
What's your advice to them? How would you suggest that we get over that as a shy person?
I think to start off with, try online events. Try online networking events, because of which there's loads. And then you can kind of get familiar with people to say, if you're joining, please let me know where you are. Please tell me a little bit about yourself. That way you can do it from the comfort of your home and become familiar with what sort of language you should use, etc. Then you can move into the in-person events. I would say give yourself grace, right? At the first networking event, you don't have to go all out and chat to everyone. Assess the vibe. Watch how people are talking to each other. Try and chip in to hear about any conversations, and you can learn from that. If you're going to like 10 networking events in a year, the first couple you can go and attend and just watch people's language, how are people communicating, what do you see works well, what doesn't work well, and then naturally you might gain the confidence to pick up how to approach people at networking events. If your first one you're really uncomfortable, just sit and watch and smile and appear approachable, because you might find once you're watching and observing, people might actually come to you and they'll be like, oh hi, what's your name, etc. And that's what I'd say. And then with regards to conversation starters, I'd always have like a mini pitch, a little deck. I'd say who you are, what you do, what your interests are, and what brings you here. One question that I always like to have under my belt is, what are your key takeaways? What did you take away from this event, and what brought you here? How did you know about it? And that's sort of usually a good conversation starter.
That's really lovely.
It's really, really good. It's like, and I like the what brought you here, because if they say like a platform that you've never heard of, go follow that platform. I steal people's questions. Oh my gosh. Like if someone asks me a really good question, I will take that question on and be like, I love that question. Like, I will absolutely use it. And you can kind of build up this like question bank.
Yes.
It's very important to do that. And just so you get to know people on a deeper level. But I think the best thing about networking events is connecting with the people and staying connected to them afterwards.
Yeah.
Like, that's the piece that a lot of people forget. You might have an amazing conversation with someone and it's just like, I just want to like stay in contact with you. So you just make sure that you're ready to, connect on LinkedIn or whatever your industry favors or whatever you're trying to get into. Because I think that's how you stay up to date with people.
Agreed.
Yeah.
And then you kind of become like distant work friends.
Yeah.
And you can follow each other's journeys.
And it might not always be immediate that person is pivotal in your career in that moment, but like in a few months' time, in a few years' time, that warm introduction that you have into that organization could pay back like tenfold. I think another thing that's really important with like being early in the networking game is like, I remember feeling quite intimidated that like, oh, I need to speak to everybody and I need to try and find a meaningful connection with everybody. And then you've got all this pressure. But really, like, even if you come away with one connection, one person that you've had, like, a meaningful conversation with, and that might not even be every time, but, like, I guess that it's not always the breadth, but sometimes it's, like, you've had that one connection with somebody, and that could be the start of something new.
It's, like, impossible to talk to everyone, and it's also tiring.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Networking can be just so tiring. So... yeah, like maybe set yourself some goals. Like, what do you want to learn? Like, do you want to learn like 5 new things? Maybe that's a lot. Maybe 3 new things. And then do you want to have like one meaningful connection? And that could be what success looks like for you when you're networking. But it is very important. Like, I got my job through networking as well.
So important. And like, give yourself grace. If you've never been to a networking event, like you said, you listen, and if someone says a question that you like, you take it on board. So you can go to a networking event, especially if it's your first time, just listen, watch and observe. And you might find people might come to you anyway and talk to you. So just be comfortable in the first few times, and after a while you get into the swing of things. I get nervous going to networking events at first. Usually I go and I'm scared. I'm like, oh my God, I don't know anyone. But usually after, the main session, you feel a bit more comfortable and you're going to have something to talk about anyway. So yeah, just do it anyway, because honestly, your network is your net worth.
Yes. That's another thing I wanted to ask you about, but we've not got very long left. But I wanted to ask about, you have an incredible brand. You detailed really well, like what you learn at these events, the things that you're learning, you document your learning. And you do it all quite independently of your day job, which is, you keep these things separate.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to ask, like, why did you do that? Yeah.
Oh, I mean, I work in cyber, so it's best I keep those two parts of my life separate. I saw what they did to Yasmin.
Yeah.
So I don't want to put myself in that position, hence why you won't even know my name if you go on my Instagram page. And I think, honestly, being in cyber, I have that mindset of safety first. Like, I think when you're online, you need to understand how to balance the information that you share and also that you keep private. So my page is very informative, but I do at a minimum try and keep my private life at bay, because you don't need to know that. I might show you where I go on a restaurant, where I went on holiday, but I won't show you all of that, and that's just for my own protection. And I've seen how people are on the internet. LinkedIn's all right when you're on like social media like Instagram and TikTok and whatever. Your platform's being exposed to so many people who don't necessarily understand the context of what you're doing, and they might feel some type of way and then use the knowledge that they have of you, like where you work and stuff, against you. And I've seen that happen, not just with Yasmin, but another one of my content creator friends. So that's why I try and keep that bit private. I will, if we're at a networking event, I'll tell you a little bit more, because obviously I understand for you to be in an environment like this, you've got the understanding of, the conversation that we can have, and you won't feel some type of way. But on the internet, your content can be shared with anyone and everybody, and you don't know what their intention is. So in person, I'll tell you all about it, but online, I won't go into too much detail, just to protect my 9-to-5 job.
Yeah, that's perfectly understandable, because you hear all of these horror stories of people that write to people's like organizations and they say all these disparaging things, and like none of them have legs. Like nothing has any legs, but they're like either jealous or just like have a lot of free time.
Yes.
And you don't want that.
And also they don't understand. Like with her tweet, people didn't understand, but now people are in the industry, they're like, oh, I understand. So a lot of the time people don't understand, and they themselves feel some type of way about their life because they haven't seen that for themselves. They don't believe it and they question it, like, surely you're lying. No, I'm going to report you to your etc. So I try not to take it personally. I just think, if you're in the space and you're in the industry, not a problem. But outside of that, people don't know. They have no idea.
And what you said about it being super low context is so true. Like, someone can see a 30-second clip of you and assume a whole load about your life that is just not true, right? And you don't have control about how X person is going to interpret you. So, I've seen, I don't know if you know Renee Louise. She runs Black Bite, but she's got an episode where she talks about a cyberbully that she's gotten. Somebody who's managed to find her and contact her work and do all kinds of strange things. But she's a techie person who's managed to, put a positive spin on finding out who this person is. And
Did she find out who it was?
Yes, she did.
Did she contact them?
Scary.
Yeah, I think she's contacted people. I'll share links and
I would love to.
I love that. I'll be like,
would love
hi,
to.
you're right. Do you want me to help you get into tech? I can help you do that.
Because some people are just angry.
Yeah, they just don't know. Like a lot of I think in that case, people are angry about what they don't know, and what they don't know is what they're angry about. No, this is real. People are doing this.
Yeah.
So
are they like jealous, or maybe they just don't, like, you know, it's like maybe they want to be there, but like they didn't have access to the information. And now they're not there, so they have a lot of like crazy that's
stuff.
Terrible.
Yeah.
It's no.
LinkedIn's better because everyone on that platform's on the same wavelength.
Yeah.
But Instagram and TikTok is like everyone can.
You have an amazing LinkedIn brand, and I know that there are a lot of people who are intimidated by the prospect of having one. So what would be your tip for someone who's early industry, not sure how to do it, bit scared?
Yeah. I was a bit reluctant a bit scared, but I love LinkedIn. I love LinkedIn. Oh my gosh, LinkedIn, it puts you so close to people that you'd never have access to. You'd never have access to these people in the real world. But LinkedIn, if someone wrote a post, let's say, I don't know, like the CEO of Apple, he does a post, I can comment on his post and he might be able to see that comment.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And I think the way that the content on LinkedIn propagates is absolutely insane. So I think LinkedIn is so powerful because on LinkedIn is where you're going to find the people who can make a change in your career. That's where the recruiters can find you. That's where speaking engagements can find you. That's where potentially the brand partnerships can find you. So it's like, in my head, I think if you don't post on LinkedIn, you're taking away from so many opportunities that you could have. LinkedIn is so powerful because it puts you right in front of the people who can make the decisions that can give you the opportunities and change your life. So when I started off, I was a bit scared, but then I was like, oh my God, I can follow or connect with the head of information security at F1, Mercedes. I can find out, I wouldn't have this level of access without LinkedIn. So just think about all the opportunities you're missing out on because you're not posting on LinkedIn. And it can just start off being a little small post, once a week. And as with anything in life, you have to try it out and you'll figure out the rhythm as you do it. There's no set formula per se. As literally anything, if you're driving, you're going to figure out your rhythm in driving. Same thing with LinkedIn. Just try one post here, there, and just be consistent. Then over time, you become comfortable. People on the platform become familiar with you, and you can just post without necessarily feeling some type of way.
That's so cool. I think it's an important one to remember because even if you're not necessarily seeing the immediate benefits, again, it's those warm introductions. Somebody's seen your post, they recognize your name, they've seen your face. It just makes you that little bit more, I guess, stand up above the people that have sent the CVs that have got the exact same trajectory as you thus far. Yeah,
and I think it can just be as simple as you go to a networking event, you take a picture of the event, you tag the company that organised the event and the organisers themselves. It can just be you documenting you going to networking events. And then someone, if the organiser likes it, people on their page, and then people can comment, etc. So it could just be as simple as, I went to this event, I learnt this, thank you to Blah for organising. Just can be as simple as that. You don't necessarily have to go into the ins and outs of whatever. You can just start off by documenting about your experiences going to events and stuff.
It doesn't have to be profound. See the viral moments where everyone's like, this changed my life.
Doesn't have to be that. And I think people like that, just being true to yourself and just natural.
Absolutely
amazing. Well, thank you so much, Yem. This is all we've got time for today, but please let us know where we can find you, and we'll put all all the information in the show notes.